Here in the United States of America, the Democratic Party is trying to undo all that has been done. And I have a plan. It's called the Mothers of Mercy 3.2 plan. And it not only has innovative ideas on how to assist young struggling Americans, it also has a way to pay for it. And it also has new viewpoints on how to raise money for things like research for cancer or to fund things at children's hospitals. And I believe this plan is being looked at by Senator Steve Wilson, as well as Congressman Greg Lansman, who are in my districts. My family was the founders of the Democratic Party, and my uncle, great-great-uncle, was asked to be president and was the 7th president of the United States of America. So I take great pride in my Democratic Party. And in my county, they dumped cow manure on State Route 42 at the Democratic National Headquarters. So understand when I say that these Trump supporters in Warren County, Ohio, are the most absurd and rudest that they really are. Google manure dumped on Democratic headquarters in Warren County, and you'll see what they did. They are not listening to the voters. They continue to allow things to go on that shouldn't. And just in my town alone, if you take a look at the money that's been wasted, when we have a huge, beautiful place for a community center, instead of spending the absurd amount of money that they've spent on fire departments and other buildings, like Wayne Township building, instead of taking over some of these abandoned buildings in Waynesville, Ohio. If you travel up Church Street to the old government center, one that's storied for sure, it sits empty. It looks like an eyesore. Every time I pass it, I worry about children playing around it, getting hurt. It still has glass in the windows, but hasn't been used for decades. If you go up to Miami Street to Post 615 and our storied Legion, you'll see an abandoned library where there has been accidents. It's a building that needs to come down, and it's needed to come down since the late 80s. These are the type of things that concern me when I see spectacular additions in Waynesville that I know have really cost the taxpayers a hell of a lot of money. Part of being a legislator, part of being a government official, is knowing how to be efficient and to budget and to get the most back to the community that you can. It's not to work out deals to pay back friends for campaign contributions. It's not for quietening down the local church who seems to be so vocal in their moral duties, yet doesn't seem to show up for our homeless family problems. And as we move along in the recovery of not only Waynesville, but Warren County, state of Ohio, and the United States of America, we have to take a new perspective on these things. And my idea is this: to have an emphasis on citizenship, an emphasis on politeness, an emphasis on listening to people who struggle, instead of giving them advice, so that they can feel validated that people out here are listening and still care. And I think that it would be a great effort in the end if we adopted things like the U.S. for Hope, where we go to football games and other crowd gatherings, and hand out information packets like I have attached to my game plan, which is I have a sheet on mental issues, including suicide, and the phone numbers to reach professionals. I have a sheet for transportation. I have a sheet for addiction services. I have a sheet for food pantries, and all the government offerings that are out there. There's 4 sheets. You can print it up. You can design your own as long as those phone numbers get in the hands of people who need them or people who care enough to pass them out when they see homeless people. Then I think that it's worth the effort. We can also do things like, I know they have the Ice Bucket Challenge, but we can do innovative new things to raise money. I think one of the great assets out there that we're not really taking advantage of is the Square. To have a laptop available and to use the Square to make sure that the money gets where it's supposed to go. And I've also suggested that for churches to make sure that we can prove we're paying our taxes and we're putting the money where it's supposed to be getting. Because if you take a look across the United States of America and we closed up all the tax fraud, you would create a huge amount of money that could be used for things like feeding and clothing and securing our military. And I think that that would behoove many of us. Dash cams for police officers, new Kevlar, and different things. Have a great Memorial Day.